Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. Today I've got a haul to share with you. This is something that I haven't done in a long time. I stopped making haul videos a few years ago for various different reasons, but I decided today that I thought that I would come on and do a haul video and just share some of the things that I've bought recently. My spending habits have changed over the last few years, so there's nothing very exciting in this haul, but it is more kind of like basic stuff, I suppose, and I wanted a little bit of advice from you, and I thought that this kind of video, in more like of an informal kind of way, would be a good way to maybe have a little bit more of a chat about products and things like that, rather than like an actual tutorial. So you can let me know in the comments whether you enjoy these type of videos or not. I absolutely know that they're not for everyone, and I have no problem with that at all, but like I say, I thought I would just show some of the things that I've bought recently, more kind of like basic products, I suppose. So Tim Holtz had a release recently. I did go ahead and get a few of the tiny blending tools. I do still use the kind of like I have what is called the small ones, so the round ones that are obviously a little bit bigger than this, and I do use those still for distress inks if I want especially distress oxide inks, I should say, more so than distress inks, and I use them more if I want kind of like a more opaque look, so definitely like a full coverage type of cover with ink. And quite often with ink blending I tend to like fade out to white, and so I use brushes for that. I find that a little bit easier for that technique, but I do still use the tools, and for some purposes it would be quite nice to have a smaller tool. I do have like little finger daubers, and I do still have those, but it is quite difficult with them because you can't kind of clean them. Well, at least I don't feel like you can clean them very well, and but with these ones you can change the tips of them like you can with the other ones. So I went ahead and got 2 packs of them, and I'll just see how I go with them. I'm not saying it's something that I'll probably use all of the time, but I think they will come in handy, especially for stenciling and things like that. So I did get those, and then I also picked up a little pack of the refills as well, and I quite like that these are the domed ones. I have been using the domed ones more, especially for oxides, so I did pick up another pack of the kind of larger sort of normal size ones, I suppose, of the domed foamed as well. And then of course I picked up the new colour of distress ink, Scorched Timber. I did get the oxide. I wasn't sure whether I was going to get the oxide. It kind of, as soon as I saw the colour, which I knew was going to be a brown, I thought that I wasn't going to buy the oxide. I don't buy oxides in all of the colours. I tend to still gravitate towards the distress inks rather than the oxides. As much as I love the kind of sort of like chalky look of the oxides, I don't particularly like the oxide properties when you add the water to them. So that's why I don't use oxides that often. But they are really good, like I say, if I want like a full coverage of ink blending. And so I did go ahead and get the oxide because I saw a card that someone had made, and I apologise, I don't know who made it. They used this colour with kind of like a turquoisey teal colour, bluey kind of colour, and I thought it just looked so pretty together, and it kind of went a little bit more on the grey toned, and so I thought I would go ahead and pick up the oxide. But I also picked up the full kind of mini pack of the distress inks. I only have the distress inks in the mini version. It's just a bit easier for storage for me, rather than having the full size like the oxides. And so of course I had to pick up the last 4 colours. I've been waiting ages to be able to rearrange my tins because I knew that there was obviously so many colours coming out. I decided to put all of the new colours just in one separate tin, and I've really hated that they're not kind of in colour order. I know that's silly, but I really hated that. So I'm glad now I've got the last 4 colours. I can rearrange my tins and have them all in nice colour order. And then I did go ahead and pick up the watercolour pencil. Now I don't have the other packs of the watercolour pencils, and this is something that I did want your advice on, because if any of you have the watercolour pencils and you really like them, or even if you don't like them, can you let me know what you think of them? I was very tempted when they came out to purchase them, but I do have watercolour pencils from other companies and I don't tend to use them very often. What I will say is I'm very lazy when it comes to colouring. In terms of what colouring medium I pick, I almost always gravitate towards Copic markers because I've used them a lot. you know, like and I've used them for a long time as well. I know what works for me and what doesn't in terms of colours and colour combinations and things like that. So I definitely do get lazy and I kind of don't necessarily experiment as much as I would like to. I do have lots of different colouring mediums, so I do definitely want to use them a lot more this year. So I absolutely love the Distress colour palette, and it is something I'm quite familiar with in terms of colours, so that's why I was interested in terms of getting the watercolour pencils. But I wanted to try one out first, and because this colour happens to be the one that's on its own, I know they've brought out a white and black now as a separate set, but I did wonder whether I wanted to try this out basically on its own, just to see whether I liked it or not. So I'm going to try that now on camera and see what I think. So I've got a piece of Tim Holtz watercolour paper here. I thought it made the most sense when trying out a Distress product. So I'm just going to see what I think they're like. I mean, this colour wouldn't necessarily be the one that I would have gravitated towards, but since this is the one that came in the separate pack, I thought it made sense for me to try it. And if I don't like it, well, I've just wasted the money on one, you know, rather than all of them. I'm going to use a paintbrush and water. I'm not a particularly huge fan of the water brushes, but I know they are quite helpful, and that actually blends out really quite nicely. Let's see if it gets rid of the initial kind of colouring that I did. It seems to, they do seem to blend out really nicely, which does make sense obviously because Distress is a water reactive you know, dye or pigment. It does make sense that it would be the same with watercolor pencils. I do find that some watercolor pencils are just better than others. I do have some really nice ones that I like, but not all of them blend out that well. Like you can still see like where you kind of scribbled it on. So this does seem to blend out really nicely. So let me know if you're watching and you have them, what you think of them, whether you really like them, whether you're using them a lot. Because obviously the new colours have come out now, which is quite interesting. I have seen them, and I do think that there is possibility that I might just get like one set and, you know, see what they're like. But I try not to be like a full set syndrome person, but it is quite difficult sometimes to not do that. Interestingly enough, as they're kind of drying, you can still see some of the scribbles. I mean, that might differ depending on what I'm doing. Like if I was colouring an image or something, you might not necessarily see that as much. I have gone in quite a lot of water, so maybe again that's why. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see when these dry how they actually look. Then next up, I made an order from Spellbinders and I picked up the Mighty Mister spray bottle. Now, I clearly did not read the dimensions of this bottle. It's so much bigger than I expected it to be. I mean, not in a bad way, but yes, it's really a lot bigger than I expected it to be. The reason I bought this was because I wanted to put isopropyl alcohol in it so that I can try and clean my stencils with isopropyl alcohol. Up until now, I've always used stamp cleaner, ultra clean stamp cleaner, and it works really well. It gets off all of the ink, no problem whatsoever. But I'm not going to lie to you, when I get to like the 7th stencil of cleaning it and I have to dry it and everything, it just gets so tedious. And as much as I love ink blending with stencils, it does, I don't want to say it puts me off, but you know, the thought of having to clean them all afterwards is, you know, so from what I gather, cleaning them with isopropyl alcohol is a lot quicker. The alcohol obviously dries generally, and you can probably just go over it very quickly with just a cloth or something like that. So if you do use isopropyl alcohol to clean your stencils, please let me know if you like doing that. I think this will be quite a good bottle to add the alcohol into because it's opaque and it's not kind of see-through. I think that might be a little bit more helpful. I did purchase this one thinking that this was the one I was going to use, and you can see the size difference. I forgot actually that this Ranger Mister bottle, it is really good, but I forgot that it is very small. But funny, it's so funny that then the one that I ended up buying is just huge in comparison. But I quite like that it's a lot bigger, and it's got like the way that it works, obviously when you press it to spray out, this kind of bit sticks out, and I think that will be quite helpful for me to be able to store it on my cart. like for storage purposes, because otherwise if I had to try and have this standing up somewhere, it would take up quite a lot of space. So that's quite a good plus for this one. So I'm looking forward to trying it out and seeing what it's like to clean my stencils with isopropyl alcohol. And then I did pick up a few packs of their gems. Every time I order from Spellbinders, I pick up some of their gems. I really love their gems. They're like, I especially love these really tiny ones. I use them a lot. So I got 2 packs of the silver mix, which I use all of the time, and then I did get a pack of gold as well because I've run out of those. And then very much an impulse purchase, which is stupid because I already have a pack of these monster eyes from Doodlebug, but I went ahead and picked them up just because they're cute. I mean, whether I'm going to end up actually using them or not, I honestly don't know. Very much an impulse purchase, but you know, we do have to have them sometimes. And then I picked up 2 packs of the Concord and 9th dewdrop assortment. I really love their dewdrops. They're a lovely size and very good quality. I do like that they come in these little tubs. I probably will end up decanting them into the storage that I have, but it is quite nice that they come in these little tubs if I do decide to keep them in there. These kind of like little boxes, I suppose. They are very good quality. And then I picked up 2 colour collections of the Altenew Fresh Dye inks. I'll be honest with you, I was sceptical when Altenew decided that they were going to redo their inks from the crisp dye inks to the fresh dye inks. I've never had a huge amount of luck, I'll be honest with you, stamping with the crisp dye inks. I have got used to how they work, but I've never thought that they had a great coverage. But I really like them for ink blending. And so, like I say, I was sceptical when they decided to reformulate their inks, but the ink honestly is so much better. And so although I do have quite a lot of the crisp dye inks that I purchased personally myself, I think maybe I got 2 packs from Altenew directly, which was very kind of them as part of being on the design team. But most of the crisp dye inks in the cubes I did purchase myself. And so I'm not going to lie to you, I am reluctant to repurchase them in the fresh dye ink formula, but they are so much better, especially for stamping. They are really nice for ink blending as well. They do definitely have a thicker consistency, which does work really well. And so I thought I would get the 2 newer colours anyway that I don't have. Altenew have, as part of being on the design team, have kindly sent me a lot of their inks in the larger size, but I've completely run out of space for all of those. So I thought that some of the colours I would get in the cubes if I decide to go along that route and repurchase all of the colours. So these are 2 new ones. This is Wood Warbler and Forest Trail, and these are definitely colours that I don't have in my collection otherwise, more kind of like muted yellows and more sort of olive greens. And then I did purchase a few kind of paper products. I purchased some Gina K envelopes. I really love using colourful envelopes, but I'm not going to lie to you, I tend to use them more for photo props rather than I actually send the cards out in the colourful envelopes, because I don't have that many of them. So I thought that I would invest in a few to actually be able to send some cards out using them. So I picked up the Whisper, which is kind of like a really pale grey, really pretty, the Passionate Pink, the Lovely Lavender and the Sea Glass. They're all in the A2 size from Gina K, very good quality envelopes. And then I also picked up a pack of the 5x7 in the white. I do want some of the A2 in the white from Gina K. Like I said, I do think they're very good quality. They were out of stock where I purchased them from, so hopefully they'll get them back in soon. And then I picked up another pack of the Concord and 9th assorted colour cardstock. I have run out of a lot of the colours. I really love them, but I have run out of a lot of the colours, and also I want to create swatches with them, and I didn't do that at the time of opening the pack. So what I'm going to do this time is when I open the pack, I'm going to make sure that I keep all of the colours in the colour order. It does tell you on the back, but even sometimes with this, it's still difficult sometimes to completely match the colour properly. And so when I open it and know which colour order they're in, I'm going to make swatches of them straight away. And so I know exactly which colour is which colour when I go to pick the colours out. And because you do only get one colour and one sheet of each colour in a pack. I do get through these packs quite quickly. Some of the colours I don't use as much, like some of the kind of more neutral colours, but I still think it probably is a little bit, I don't know, like if I want to buy like a pack of 10 sheets of colour, you know, of cardstock, I do need to use that pack a lot to get through it. And although I'm using colour cardstock more often now, especially I'm doing a lot more die cutting, I still don't get through it that quickly. So I do think these kind of assortment packs are really good, so I'm glad I picked up another one of those. And then last but not least, this might not be interesting to anyone, but I did pick up a couple of storage items. I have had a few people asking me if I'm going to do a craft room tour this year. I absolutely am, but there are a few areas in my craft room that I want to work on a little bit before I share them on camera that I'm not like completely happy with. And one of them is to store my watercolour paper. So I picked up this basket, and my idea is that I'm going to hang it on the wall, but I've been looking for a basket that I can take on and off the wall. So this one with the attachments, it comes so like it's kind of like a clip, so the clip attaches to the wall and then you clip the basket on, so it's quite easy to take on and off. I don't have a huge amount of wall space in my craft room, so I need, where I'm going to put it, I need to make sure that I can take it off if I need to. So I finally found this one from Eey Design. It's quite a good size, it is very large, but like I say, because I'm going to be able to take it on and off the wall, I think it will be really helpful. I picked that up from Amazon. And then I did also pick up a few of the smaller tubs from Eey Design. I use these all around my craft room. I use them for everything. I have die cut pieces in them. I use them when I'm making videos, so like I put like bits in there that I'm going to use on the video. I often, if I'm using the Alter New mini brushes, I will put them in here as I'm using them to kind of keep them rolling around on my desk and stuff. So I use them pretty much for everything. And with Amazon in the UK, you do have to buy 3 of this smaller tub in one go. I'm using 2 already straight away, and then this is the 3rd one that I haven't got a particular use for at the moment, but I will have soon, I'm sure. So that was a few products that I've purchased probably in the last 3 months or so. Like I say, let me know if you have any advice for me on the isopropyl alcohol cleaning stencils or the distress pencils or anything like that. And I just like to know your comments on various different products. Like I say, it's nice to have a little bit of an informal chat with you rather than more of like a formal tutorial. So if you've managed to watch the whole of the video, thank you so much for sticking to the end, and I'll see you soon.